Hey everyone, welcome back to Xploit. So what I'm going to do first today is that I'm going to replacing the mob switch at our spawn with this. It's not much different, well it is quite different, but the same idea is there. It's just that we're moving 200 entities, which would be our dogs, in and out of the ticking area we have at our spawn. But in this case they're not all in one spot because it is actually relatively laggy, despite the dogs themselves not being laggy compared to other mobs, but cramming them in one space however is. So that will resolve that issue. It looks big, but it's pretty easy. It's just a bunch of pistons, a bunch of piston wires, then a torch tower. As you can see, it switches over all of the pistons when I flick the lever, and that's the entire idea of it. So it's nothing too complicated, but it looks somewhat nice, I guess. And I suppose it's not too ugly. So what I'm going to start with is that I'm going to dismantle this mob switch. And so what comes first would be just letting all of the 200 dogs out, which is gonna be quite a mess, I imagine. If you see, you can see that all the dogs are in there, and it's probably gonna be pretty spectacular, but just to be sure I'll make a wall of basalt to contain all of the explosion, just in case, you know, it goes all over the place. So I just want to make sure that it's well contained. So we just do that and then finish the... that should be good. Okay, yeah, so all I need to do is that I need to break that piston, and I have no idea how massive the explosion will be. So oh my god, what the hell? Jesus, that was kind of why are those ones not doing anything though? Well, that one's a little different than I expected, but it is kind of interesting to look at which way they went out. Well, you also gotta consider that they are sitting, so that already stopped a lot of their movement. But if they were not sitting, I imagine they would have gone even further. And of course they would have freely moved. But the question is, why are those ones not doing anything? That's weird. I'll go get a snowball and I'll try to push them out. Maybe just nudging a single one in there would do something. Oh, even better. I should just get some water. That should do the trick. Wait, no, I should not get water because I believe water actually makes them stand. And if I made them stand, that would be a massive problem. Actually, maybe punching them would also, well, not punching them, but shooting them with a snowball might also actually move them all over the place. So maybe I don't want to do that either. Oh, yeah, even more dogs. Jesus. That's a lot of dogs indeed. I think it almost works like a sand pusher. I mean, it's kind of a dog pusher, I guess. And now for my next trick is a genius idea. And it's just that I'm going to place some slime here. I can just place the piston here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Then we just keep pushing them. Alright, that should be enough clearance. I only need about 2 blocks or so out from the chunk border, which is right here. And that's all that is needed for me to start building the mob switch. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that I will be tearing down the rest of this and then I will start building the mob switch. So I say let's go. Alright, so the mob switch is almost finished. What I just need to do is that I need to push the last dog in here. All of the other dogs have red colors. This one has a blue color. I think at the time I gave this dog a blue color. I'm not sure why, but that should about finish it. Now I'm just going to remove those scaffolding blocks. By the way, basalt is a very nice scaffolding block, way better than actual scaffolding itself, especially with our huge farm. And what I did for the lower layers is that I used the bubble column to push the dogs up, but for the upper layers I could just wait for the dogs to teleport to me. Also, if you're wondering about this TNT Amogus, that's something that Kai did. I'm not sure why he did it or what the merit in it is, but yeah, he did it. So I flick this lever. Then all of the pistons. Yeah, all of the pistons went to the other side. And of course it is a bit slower than just 2 pistons. But it is overall much better. So that's pretty good. And next we will be building the moss farm. And the moss farm has been in planning for quite a while. We collected a bunch of the materials yesterday. And so today is finally the day we can start it. Although I'm not sure we'll finish it in one day entirely, because it is a pretty big build. So that will take quite a while. Alright, so the construction of the moss farm is finally done. It's technically been done like a week ago for the initial design, but there were some issues that didn't occur on the flat world, but did actually occur in the survival world. So that was kind of weird, but I did some minor adjustments. It was actually pretty simple, and not only did it fix that issue, it also made the farm faster. So now we produce a profit of 18,000 Bonemeal per hour versus the 13,900 Bonemeal per hour we had. Because we ran this farm on a 13 item cycle, which was 5.2 seconds, and we switched to 10 items, which is a 4-second cycle, and that in turn gave us a 30% boost in terms of rates. And so we went from 13,900 to about 18,000, which is exactly double hopper speed. Well, technically it's 18,078 per hour approximately, so it is a bit more than double hopper speed, but that's no big deal. When I turn this farm on, it won't be fully functional right away, because I still need to feed it tons of bonemeal before it actually starts being self-sufficient. For that we have a ton of bones in here, and there's also some bonemeal in here. And what I just need to do is that I need to start from the top here, and I need to fill in bonemeal. And it's gonna take quite a while for all of the layers to work. And well, the first layer will start being self-sufficient rather quickly if I feed it enough bonemeal for the other layers to also start working, but that should be enough for me to demonstrate the functionality of the farm. So I'm just going to grab a bunch of bones. Let's turn the farm on and let's fly up real quick so we can see it turning on. How it gets triggered is that we have a tower of scaffolding here, and the change down below that is made when a pisnix ending a block is detected by the observer, which in turn turns on this T flip-flop, which triggers the hopper clock. And it then runs on a cycle. And what then happens is that all of the mechanisms here get triggered. Now I didn't put any bonemeal in yet, but when I do, what happens is that when the water goes away, the moss block gets bonemealed, and all of the stone blocks that get replaced by moss gets broken by the new stone being pushed in. This is where all the bonemeal comes in that is made from the self-sustaining mode. So if I just craft some here, those should get picked up by this one, I guess by the next one. And yeah, now we can see what actually happens. As you can see, it gets bonemealed, and then all of it gets broken, and the water flushes all the drops into the corners. And then the stone block gets pulled away, and it all falls all the way down. So that's pretty awesome. Seems to be working just fine, but like I said, we need to feed it a ton more bonemeal for it to actually start working. So that last clip just now was yesterday, and what Lee and I ended up doing the entire evening is that we waited for it to fill up. And it started very slow because about only 4 layers were operating, but once we got to half, it got pretty quick because, as you can imagine, since more layers produce more self-sustaining bonemeal, the other layers will get filled up quicker, and so it was relatively painless. It was very long, but it was overall not unbearable. And so yeah, now all of the buffer hoppers are full. Now if you're not aware, the farm has a ton of hoppers here, like a hopper chain that leads to the middle, and they're all full because, well, that's just a design choice. We could have maybe integrated more droppers, like all the way out to here, but there's not much room for wiring. And all that just so that we take less time for it to warm up when it's working perfectly fine just now. Now that it is fully working, however, let's demonstrate it real quick. So there is the selector panel. If you watched the last episode, you would already know the system a bit. There's a selector panel and you can select between bonemeal, moss, or all the microfarms. We ran this farm for quite a bit already. We already had a full double chest of shulker boxes of bonemeal, although I put some in the tree farm over there. And all of these chests are full, so those are just general item filters, and the item filters get unlocked when you go on the moss mode. And there's even a ton of flowering azalea, which has a relatively low drop rate, but yeah. Anyhow, Let's turn it on. That will send the signal up all the way to scaffolding. And you should see it turn on any second. Yeah, there it goes. So the clock system at the top has turned on. Now you can see all of the moss fall down. And it's actually quite a bit. So if we go over here, we can see all of the bonemeal being dispensed out of the droppers, where the composters feed it bonemeal. And of course, on top of the composters, all of the moss is in here. Now we need about 46 hoppers for the system to keep up with all of the moss. I believe it might even be a little more. Yeah, that's about, I think it's 48. So it is quite a ton, to be honest. Also, I don't know what it is about this version, but entity movement is super weird client side. As you can see, it just stops around and then jumps back into position and all that. It's very bizarre, and it's not the server lagging. The server's running just fine. In fact, the server can handle this farm no problem, 20 TPS, since, you know, the whole point of this farm being so big is that it's lag efficient. And if we head over here, we can see that all of the excess bonemeal, the profit bonemeal, so to speak, that passes the buffer hoppers, gets passed down to here, and we have a shulker loader right here. And that of course loads all of the bonemeal that we have in profit. Why did I take fall damage? Into these shulker boxes. Oh, we already got one extra one. I can demonstrate the moss mode, although it won't do much, since all of the chests here are already full. But what it basically does is that it unlocks these item filters, and those are otherwise locked. Now let's switch to the bamboo mode, which is similar to all the other crop modes. It will basically just start dropping in bonemeal from this dropper right here, and it all gets aligned towards these ender chests and gets picked up by the corresponding microfarm hopper. And on the backside we have a simple red coder that is fairly spread out, and that basically allows us to unlock only the hopper that we want. And as soon as one of the microfarms receives bonemeal, it will start running automatically. For the bamboo, I should probably stop running it because it is already full, and so is the sugarcane, but you get the basic idea. It is the same for all those ones, which is the kelp, etc. All of the ones that are over here. Of course, the farm is very useful, but it's also very satisfying to watch. We can see all of the moss and all of the other drops that are being placed by the bonemeal spreading, and then it gets all broken, and all of the water makes it fall all the way down. So overall, I'd say I'm pretty satisfied with this project. I'm pretty happy that it turned out even faster than what was planned, and even more so that it actually works, because as I told you earlier, it initially for some reason didn't work on the server where it worked in a survival world. So yeah, happy ending, I guess. So, I think I'll end this episode of Xploit here. I would like to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more content like this, then maybe subscribe. And you can also check out my channel, because I have tons more content like this that I'm sure you would enjoy. With that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you around. Bye!